When it comes to police reform, I think the big lesson here is to really reinforce that no matter what you're doing, there's going to be people watching what you're doing and videotaping and putting it on social media.
And that was just moments ago where Sheriff Mims saying the #1 thing on her police reform list is to reinforce her deputies that they're being watched no matter what they're doing. And that's where we begin with our panel this week. Let's take roll call. The former advisor for the Fresno City College Rampage and current editor for Fresno Land, Dipna Ugwu-Oju, and former Fresno County Superintendent of Schools and KC24 political analyst Larry Powell. Thank you both for being here. Welcome.
Nice to be with you.
Dipna, I want to start with you. Sheriff Mims citing that she wants to reinforce to her deputies that no matter what you're doing out there in the line of duty, don't forget people are watching you. That was the first thing on her list to reinforce for police reform. Is that the right message instead of maybe condemning police brutality, but where she's pointing out that, you know, hey, listen, you're just being watched here, and it could go viral in an instant. What do you make of that?
Well, my response is, what about telling them to do the right thing, regardless of who is watching or who is recording? Or what about telling them to treat everyone with dignity and treat them with respect? What about telling them that every human being, even people that they may not consider to be their equals, are really their equals? And that no matter who is watching, treat them the way they would want to be treated themselves.
Yeah, Larry, let me get your take on that, because we're hoping that the deputies follow their oath, and that is part of their oath. But what do you make of Sheriff Mims kind of reinforcing, hey, just make sure, you know, everybody's watching now?
Well, if I were to talk to Sheriff Mims, I think what I would hear is something more like this. It does not matter who's watching. It does not matter who's videotaping. Do the right thing. It's really quite simple. And use the minimum amount of force. Rely on your training to do the right thing in every case. Think before you act. And it does not matter who's watching, what's going on around you. You have an obligation because of your oath to do the right thing. And I think that's ultimately the message that she's actually sending to her folks. She may not have put it in the right terms, but knowing her heart and knowing who she is and knowing her for a long time, I really believe that what she means is you're going to do the right thing when you're out there. We're not going to play games at all. We're going to have you do the right thing, treat people well, treat them with respect, because I think as you treat people with respect, even if they don't treat you back that way, when you are kind, it's hard to be nasty toward you. And so do the right thing as a police officer, as a sheriff. And Sheriff Mims is giving that message, I believe.
I want to move on to this, and Larry, I'll stay with you, because the sheriff was talking about the mask mandate and citing resources as the way where, you know, the governor's lack of clear direction here on enforcing the mask mandate. And really the reason the sheriff gave was, hey, we don't have enough resources to enforce a mask mandate. She even said, when I asked if you go inside a grocery store and you see somebody without a mask, do you tell them anything? And she goes, no, I just keep my social distancing. Do you think as sworn officers that they have a right for public safety here to uphold this or enforce it in any way? Or do you think that it should be hands off?
Well, I think it's impossible to enforce. However, that being said, social pressure is probably a better way to do it, because when I see somebody inside a store not wearing a mask, I just kind of, in a casual, kind way, just kind of point to my mask and just to remind them. I'm not out there to make them feel embarrassed or anything else. I just want to remind them, if you wear a mask, you're protecting me, and I appreciate that. In fact, on my Facebook account, I put 6 different versions of masks being worn inappropriately up with me wearing them to show people how not to do it.
Yeah.
And so I think what we do is use a lot of social pressure rather than police pressure. Police pressure does not work in that kind of situation. There are too many people, but social pressure can. I also would require stores to make sure they remind them, but I also might ask officers, wear a button or something that says face masks save lives or something like that. Yeah. Do it in that kind of way.
Dipna, your take on that?
I agree completely.
You're not
there are things
supposed
that
to
can
agree
be-
on this show. We're supposed to disagree.
Oh,
No, I'm
really?
kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, there are things that cannot be policed. It's
Right.
about our own behavior. And what I would do is I would just keep my distance. If I go into a store and there are people without masks, I wouldn't go anywhere near them. And I keep reminding my friends and my family, it's for your safety as well as for the safety of the other person. Because if the vulnerable among us catch the illness, it impacts all of us eventually, because the resources are depleting the resources, and the stores can have the signs on the door: no masks, no service.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
They do that with shoes, right?
That's
Yes.
right. And we got to cut it there for our first panel, but we have a lot more to discuss, a lot in the education system, as there's been a recent rash of what some are saying racially charged postings on social media from education leaders. We'll talk about that in our second panel. Hang tight. Still to come, embroiled in yet another controversy. Fresno Unified trustee Terry Sladek breaking his silence on TV for the first time since being accused of making a racial comment to 2 local pastors in response to a new explosive allegation.